Right then, hello Year 2, this is Unit 3 for BTEC Applied Psychology, and this is Content Area C2. This is looking at treatment and management of addiction and stress. This particular area lesson is going to be on physiological stress management, basically physical ways of managing stress, and we're looking at something called biofeedback. This links with page 82 and 83 of your textbook. Right, the basic idea of biofeedback is that you're hooked up to a machine, and this machine gives you a feedback about various bodily processes of yours which are normally automatic, but you can learn to control them to a certain extent. And by watching the machine and the feedback you're getting, you learn to have some control over some of these processes, which can help you to calm down or to relax your bodily processes, to reduce that stress response. So that's the idea. So let's look at some detail. 3 phases involved. First of all, awareness and physiological feedback. Secondly, relaxation training and control. And thirdly, transfer. Let's look at each of those in turn. So first of all, awareness and physiological feedback. Basically, this is the education phase of the treatment. So you're connected up to the machine, and you need to understand what the feedback is showing you. And various different machines give feedback in different ways. So it's important that you understand what's happening. So as you, for example, do some deep breathing techniques and the line on the screen goes down, what does that mean? So the therapist will explain that to you. So this is kind of the education phase of it. Here's some examples of some sorts of feedback that you can have through this. Things like you can have a chest band on which would measure your breathing rate. You could have a heart rate which would be measured through sensors on your fingers. You can measure sweat, blood pressure, muscle tension. As you can see, all of these are signs of stress, aren't they? If you have a fast breathing rate, a fast heart rate, sweat, if you're sweating, if you have high blood pressure, they're all, and tense muscles, they're all signs of stress. But they're all, if you think about it, things that are automatic bodily processes. If I told you to stop sweating right now, you wouldn't have any idea how to do it. So it's hoping to give you some control over these things by giving you feedback about when you're managing to reduce the rates of some of these things. So in the second phase then, this is where you actually have a go at doing it. So you watch the feedback and you try and take control of your responses. For some people, they might use games, particularly now they're starting to do more of this, where you have some sort of game that you're playing, and if you manage to reduce your heart rate, for example, then it gives you an advantage in the game. So that's one way that it can be done. Sometimes it might be that you need certain training to go with this. So for example, if it's muscle tension that you're working on, your therapist may need to go through with you that you've got to exercises where you work on particular muscle groups to tense and then relax them. You might need to learn some specific deep breathing exercises or visualization techniques where you picture calm and relaxing environments. So it's not just a case of just look at a screen and have a go. It's your therapist helps you as well. They will teach you different techniques to use to help you to take control of some of this. And as you make progress, you can see on the screen if you're making progress, and then positive reinforcement, whether that's just praise from a therapist or some kind of reward on a game or something. It uses that positive reinforcement to help you make progress. And this actually, we know about this because rats were able to do this just by using rewards on rats. They were able to take control of various different techniques. So it doesn't just work on humans. There you go. Transfer, third of all. This is phase 3. And what this involves is basically all the stuff that's come before this will happen in a therapist's room. So it's probably quite a nice, relaxing environment. You have to get be able to move from using these techniques within your nice relaxing therapist's environment to in real world, for example at work, where there's lots of stressors. So it's quite a big difficult move to make, and sometimes that might involve being given a portable machine where you can still get feedback, not always, but sometimes. So that's the that's quite a big step, but the idea is that if you've had enough training and developed enough control from your phase 2, you ought to be able to start to do that gradually. Okay, let's look at strengths and weaknesses. So first of all, research shows that it's effective. You'll be able to read about this Lemaire study in your textbook. It's quite interesting, where they've basically run an experiment where a group of doctors used biofeedback over about a month, and there was a control group of people who didn't use biofeedback, and it was the biofeedback group where their stress scores really fell, and not the control group. Their stress scores fell a little, but not significantly. So that shows that actually biofeedback is really effective, so that's good. And the other strength is that it's not just a quick temporary fix like drugs are. This is a long-term technique. Once you know how to use it, you can keep employing those relaxing techniques, and actually once you've used them enough, it seems that the effects are a bit more, not permanent, but they're longer term. They keep going. It's not a case of stop using it and bam, you're back to really fast heart rate suddenly. So it has a kind of a cumulative effect on you, which is good. Weaknesses, on the other hand, is that it's not been proved that it actually reduces any of these signs of stress significantly. So in the Lemaire study, what actually reduced was their stress score, so their perception of how stressed they were had reduced. But when they looked at their actual scores, like their heart rate and their stress hormones and so on, they hadn't significantly reduced. They'd reduced a little, but not very much. So although it's been proved to make people feel better, it's not necessarily actually having a physical effect, which significantly affects how good it is. And then it needs a lot of effort and motivation. If you think about the time taken to learn these sorts of techniques, the moving from the therapist's office to being able to employ these sorts of techniques in a busy, fast-paced office environment, for example. Equally, some of the machines may be hard to understand, so you do need to be really motivated to get benefit out of biofeedback. So that's really its weakness. Okay, so that is biofeedback in a nutshell.